Hello, everyone. Welcome to All About Holly Live. And today we have Cliff, Gareth, and Nim. We have Alan, who promised to show up and has not shown up yet. So today we are going to discuss this is the fifth book in the Holly group of stories. This is a novella from the collection If It Bleeds. And yeah, there we go. So how do people rank this with the other Holly books? Do you want to say, just start off like how we think it fits in? You know, you like it better, like it least?
Should we start with Nim, ladies first?
Sure.
Okay, that's a long answer that I have to think about. Really liked Mr. Mercedes and Finders Keepers. Wasn't a fan of End of Watch. The Outsiders, not so much a fan, but I really liked this one. I liked how it just got in with the action since it was a short story. Yeah, I just enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, now, I was asking Cliff before, how do you think reading that story would be without having read The Outsider or the other Holly stories? Do you think it'd be a little confusing?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I would have known what was going on at all because it picked up right after The Outsider, really. And she's writing letters to, what's the detective's name?
Is it Ralph?
Ralph, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she talks a lot about Bill. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend reading the collection at all, really, if you don't read the other books. That would be very confusing.
That was a curious choice. I mean, because I can see with Stephen King, I mean, he started Mr. Mercedes. Holly was supposed to be a throwaway character.
Mm-hmm.
You write her once, and then you're done. And for whatever reason, and I can see why. He says, you know, I kind of explore what would she be like doing more, and that's what I think is really charming about these stories. Like you get to see the growth of this character from someone who's barely able to function to someone who's really managing life and life situations very well.
Yeah.
Can I just add to the idea about whether or not you can read it without the other bits? Because I think he tried. Well, I think there's two things going on. One, I think he tried to make it so you could, because every time he talks about Brady or the stuff that happens with Mr. Mercedes, he kind of explains it as well. But I still think you're right that it massively helps if you know the stuff, because he doesn't say loads, he just says it in passing, but he does I think he tried to say it. He tried to make it palpable for other people. But yeah, I think it is much more successful if you've read the other bits, I think. And then the other thing I was going to say was he knows that people read everything he does as well. So I think he probably thought that people would get to it having read the other bits as well.
So you
I'm someone who never had the desire to read his work in order.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering, but if I had, how much would I have picked up along the road? Have I missed things? I don't know.
Well, that's actually why some people do some people read The Dark Tower. The real thing. And they read every single book in order, including all the other books that actually fill in details of The Dark Tower. Okay, that's obviously a different series, but that's how Stephen King does it.
I don't think I have the commitment to do that, but Chris Reviews, oh my god, you guys all watch her channel, Chris Reviews. She's been from the beginning reading all of his books in order, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Must pay off.
Yeah, there's tons in
What's curious is I first read The Dark Tower, when it was just a book that came out, right? Stephen King, and it was like originally supposed to be limited to 10,000 copies.
Wow.
And he said, "I'm never going to publish this again." Well, obviously, he did publish it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was supposed to be an independent collector's item. It was supposed to remain that way, and I guess it just took off. And it took me well into my late 30s, 40s to pick up the second book, and he had just had his automobile accident when I started reading the rest of them. And that's really when it became important to start reading them in order, because he started inserting all this other stuff.
Mm.
Okay. Sorry, I got you guys completely off track here. I shouldn't have mentioned the Dark Tower.
We're totally off track. I was about to say, let's get back on to the...
Anyways.
So, Cliff, do you think, how does this hold up to you for the rest of them?
This was my favorite, to be honest. Even compared to every single other book we read. I really enjoyed the Mr. Mercedes series. I actually loved the last one. And I know that's an unpopular decision, but I really enjoyed what is it? End
of Watch?
Powers, sorry?
Do you mean End of Watch?
Yeah, End of Watch. I actually enjoyed that. The Outsider, I liked it. It was okay, but I didn't feel the same way as you guys did. And this was great. And I think it worked as a novella. As Nim said, it was action-packed. The pacing was excellent. You learned so much more about Holly and about her background, and also about her family and her mother. So you got these different strands of Holliness going on there. And also just you learn more about her fragility, but also her strength. And I think one thing that's important about Holly, see a lot of people like her, a lot of people don't like her. I think if you've got mental issues, or if you've got a mental condition, I think you're more likely to relate to Holly and her toughness in dealing with those things. I found that you can kind of, you can relate to her as a character if you've got some kind of mental condition, because that's what she's got, and she has to be brave, and she has to overcome these things. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And as I said, from the beginning, with the blowing up the school, all the way to the end, I just felt the pacing was excellent. And
I'm with you on the Outsider. You on the Outsider.
Yeah.
And I'm taking Lexapro, so.
Well, that's what I think I really admire about this character. Like I said, Stephen King took a character who was damaged. I said he's going to just throw away, and he ran with it. And I really like that idea. Is that you just too easy to dismiss someone who has either physical handicaps or mental handicaps, or I'm not really sure how to describe. I guess it's just mental handicaps.
I think nowadays, because I'm in education, I know that nowadays you say that she was neurodivergent. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's the
yeah. But it's really good to just see her take control of herself. Like in the first book, totally dependent on her mother, and and then basically saying, "Okay, I'm running this successful business.
Yeah,
I'm the boss, and it's doing well."
How the mother still kind of phones her and tries to make her feel guilty for who she, kind of giving her all this guilt trip stuff the whole time throughout the story. And Holly's standing up to it, even though she has to go and visit her mother, and she's tough.
She's
fragile.
Boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is hard with family. I would know.
I'm not going to go there.
No, we're not.
We start talking about family, it'd be a very different stream. Read a separate one.
That's what I'm liking, and I'm really looking forward to the final one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have like mixed feelings about how I'm looking at the final book, because I felt like in like a short story it went so well, but I'm like, how is he gonna make an entire book out of her? Like, because we found out like, okay, there's 2 of the whatever being
the outside. Well, we'll just call them outsiders, just because.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Outsiders. The Spanish term that he used.
El Cuco.
El Cuco, yes.
El Cuco.
Yeah. But they're very
outsiders.
What does the Dark?
Like, I'm really excited to read it, but I'm also a little nervous. Like, what is an entire book of Holly gonna be? I'm sure he'll impress me, but.
Also, what I liked about this book is my one criticism of Stephen King is sometimes at the end of a book he just ramps up the ending really high. He just anything he can throw in to make these creatures do whatever supernatural, but he just full volume. Mm-hmm. But these outsider creatures are very, very low threat, really. They're not these it creatures or these impossible vampires to kill. They're actually rather easy to deal with when you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And
yeah, a lot of it's the mystery behind it, isn't it? Rather than finding the truth rather than the confrontation at the end.
It's the investigation and figuring out that this world does have these creatures, I guess, just can mimic other life forms and feed off pain and suffering.
I think where this book works better than The Outsider for me is because it's a novella. And you've got the mystery and the suspense and everything else. And as you say, the creature's fairly easy to kill. You just throw it down the freaking elevator. But what I'm saying is that you've got, it's just the shorter format works better for that, I think. Whereas I think for
the Outsider felt like it should have just been crime to me, and then they added in the horror, and it felt odd.
Yeah. The Outsider was a bit unbalanced for me as well. This was perfect. It was a perfect mixture of crime, mystery, a bit of horror thrown in, and supernatural thrown in. And it was short enough to work properly for me. So if he had tried to make it longer and put padding on, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
Well, you have to realize, for some people, 200 pages is a novel.
Yeah, some novels are that short. Yeah.
If you pick up these old 80s horror novels, some of them are 200 pages anyway. Now, the only difference is their print is probably larger in the old paperbacks here. A little off subject, but for an older guy with fading eyes, I enjoyed the print size of this book. So easy to read.
Well, we got a bonus. You've got other stories as well.
I do. And I do want to get to them eventually.
Really enjoyed the other stories as well.
Shall I tell you where I
rank? So, like, I go to the Voxer and it's like page 169, and I'm like, what happened? I try to puzzle it together, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But Gareth, what did you think about it?
Well, this is the 5th book we've done in this project, and I've liked all 5 stories. Obviously, that's not a whole book, but I liked it a lot. But my favourite is The Outsider.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I it's just now and again you get an experience, and this happened for me for The Outsider, where you can't wait to get back into the book again, and you're rearranging your day and your week or whatever to make sure you can get as much of it read as possible. And also I think that was the one that I had to speed up to try and get read before the live stream. And it was just so easy to do because I was loving it. I was absolutely loving it. So yeah, The Outsider is a real kind of point for me for kind of like adding to that love of reading. I like the other three as well, so that's awesome. And I do love this as well. I mean, I wasn't sure when it first started, actually. Even though it's 200 pages and it is quite short, the first sort of 50 pages or so, I didn't think the pacing was there as much. But I do agree, Cliff, that it starts with a bang.
Yeah.
But then I think after that school incident happens, there's a lot of faffing about. And then it starts really ramping up, and it really won me over loads. And I did really, really like it. I thought the ending was really good. But yeah, I guess out of the 5, this is my least favorite.
Ooh.
Oh, what? You mean
I still really like it.
If It Bleeds is the least favorite from the book?
Yeah. Out of the 5, the least favorite out of the 5 stories about Holly that we read so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still really liked it. So it's the least favorite of 5 stories I've really liked a lot. So
Yeah,
I still give it.
I
8 out
like
of 10.
them all. I like them all, but
Yeah.
I like the first 2 Mr. Bill Hodges books. And then I'd probably put Outsider and If It Bleeds sort of together after those 2. Because really this If It is a follow-up to The Outsider. It feels like very much a continuation of that story.
It's similar as well.
They're very similar. You just don't have the extra police involvement that you do in the Outsider. And then
it takes she gets to the nub of the problem and the truth quicker in this one.
She does.
And the other one, they're spending a lot of time investigating, aren't they?
Well, by that time she's primed. She says that seems like the other case, you know. So she's ready to go. And then I put End of Watch as so far of the 5 my least favorite.
I think, to be honest,
I did not like End of Watch very much.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, it was 3
It was easy to
stars,
read and fine, but
which means I liked it. It was in the middle.
I think it's the most extreme out of all of the books because it's got all the teenage suicide in it. So it's definitely the one.
That's true.
I think he took a lot more of a risk with that book. And I kind of enjoyed that. It was more extreme. There was more horror, and I felt it was terrifying what he was doing, those kids. And so I felt there was more horror in that book. And I enjoyed it. I don't know why, but
well, the first 2 books of the Mr. Mercedes trilogy aren't meant to have any horror in them anyway. So I don't think. He didn't write them as horror books, did he? But then he put the horror into the 3rd book, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I just think he was taking a big risk, and I think it paid off for me. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, and I liked all the books so far. I have to say.
Oh, can I say something? I was going to say.
I haven't disliked any of them.
Yeah. No, me neither. But I like the fact all 5 stories have got different casts of characters. Yeah. So they've all got Holly in them, but she's working with different people every time. Do you know what I mean? You've got a few regular characters, but overall, there's lots of new characters that come in and out.
Jerome is Jerome features in every book.
Yeah,
pretty much.
But only in a small way. He's not that. He doesn't play a massive role a lot of the time. There's one of the books he was in quite. There was one that he had to. Is it End of Watch where he had the big confrontation in the shop? Was that End of Watch?
He came out at the end of Watch and say with the snowmobile tractor and.
So it wasn't that one. I think wasn't there? Was it Finders Keepers when you had the big confrontation at the shop in the shop?
Oh yeah, I think that was Finders Keepers.
Yes, that was Jerome.
Inside the bookshop.
Yeah. Yes, that was a big scene for Jerome. But other than that, I think a lot of the time he's either doing like big finish sort of thing, or he's in conversations with people. But so he's in all of them. But I don't think he's
always supporting role.
Yeah.
Yep, I think one of my problems with the Outsider for me, and I think this actually kind of hits the nail on the head for me, is that there's just too many characters, too much going on. I found that too many. What's it? The word extraneous stuff happening, characters happening. Whereas with this book, if it bleeds, it's much more streamlined. But Holly, and it moves from, you got Holly's mother, you got that other guy, what's his name? The elderly guy who also has seen a creature. The guy who's seen a creature as well.
Oh, the guy in Maine who's been researching.
The reason why he's the reason why Holly comes into it, isn't he? Right.
Yeah. It just moves.
She goes to him. I forgot how she found him. Oh no, she went to her psychologist.
Yeah.
And said, this delusion. And she says, anyone else had these delusions? And the psychologist was going, not really. I can't tell you. But then he talks about it behind the scenes with other psychologists. He says, oh yeah, I had a guy who had that. And at that point, wait a second, this is really kind of abnormal that two people would have that same delusion.
Yeah.
And he puts her in touch.
I had the same problem with The Outsider. I was like, is this crime or is this horror? Is this crime or is this horror?
I kind of like it when it's mixed and it's not.
Yeah, he's definitely doing that. In these books, he's mixing the two together, isn't he?
Well. In this book, it's pretty straightforward that it's going to be horror. It just uses the framework of a crime story. And like the two first Mr. Mercedes, they were just mystery books essentially.
Yeah, I thought this one was really good as a short story.
The one thing is like you were saying is like when I was reading The Outsider, I remember I was looking forward to reading it at night, saying, okay, how many? I have 80 pages tonight. Maybe I won't. Okay, wait a second. I'm just going to finish it all in one. Just finish it.
I thought the adaptation was terrible, though. I tried watching a little bit of it, and I was just like,
really? I was about to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but I was going to watch it. You don't think it's very good?
It's not. I guess it's not the worst, but the Holly character is not.
Holly character is not really portrayed as how you
She's
picture.
like, let's meet at a bar.
Wait, Holly meeting someone at a bar?
Yeah, and she's like drinking.
They tried to make her cooler, did they? Not quite as awkward, socially awkward.
Edgy Holly.
Well, part of it is that at least me growing up, I was an introverted, nerdy kid anyway. So a Holly type of woman just would not bother me. Say, oh, okay, that's fine, But I could see where a lot of more mainstream readers might be put off, which is, I guess some people wouldn't take it, but for me, I like that journey she's going through, and
I think actually because it's a lot more in the conversation at the moment that neurodivergence is being talked about a lot, and ADHD, OCD, all these different things are being like discussed a lot and diagnosed a lot. All these different things are happening. I think he's actually grabbing onto the zeitgeist in that sense. Like he's hearing that kind of stuff and says, actually, I'm going to put this character in Mr. Mercedes, and then he started to really like her, so he did more with her. But I think that's the reason why she was there originally, because he kind of he had it on his radar, because I think a lot of people are talking about that kind of thing now.
It could be like we were just weird kids when I was growing up. That's a weird kid.
Yeah. Now in the old days, you'd just be called a lunatic or something. When I was talking about this, as you've probably seen you might have seen my video when I talked about the ADHD thing, and years ago you'd just be called scatterbrain, wouldn't you? But I'm looking into that, because when I mentioned it to my students, they go, "You don't have to look that up, Gareth. You've definitely got it." So, well, I think that's what I said. I've forgotten. But yeah. So, do we know anything about Holly? The book Holly, not the character Holly. Do we know anything about the book Holly?
I better
I
sneak.
don't know anything about it. I haven't read the synopsis or anything.
You know, I actually mentioned something on Monday night, didn't I, Greg?
You did. Munch, munch, munch.
Can I say it again?
Oh, okay. It's going down there.
It's going down there.
We don't know.
I mean, I'd like to go in blind, to be fair. I'd like to, I mean, not completely blind, I wouldn't be able to read it, but I'd like to go in blind as far as not knowing much about the plot.
Even like reading the back of the book is too much these days. Like, what? I didn't need to know that.
Yeah.
I'm getting there too. It's just like, okay. It's like when I was assigned my book 2 prize books, I said, okay, I'm assigned this book to read. I've got to read it anyway. I don't care what the back says. You know, just
well, we know we're going to read it.
And see what you get.
Yeah, I read the back in shops sometimes to try and find one I've never heard of. But, you know, with Stephen King, you're going to read it anyway. So you can go in blind.
So I actually have Holly on my Kindle. I was able to get it from the library. I'm probably going to do it first week of May or something like that. You know, I have 21 days to read it at my library, so I'm good. So get that.
Oh, yeah, I'm a bit gutted that it goes in the same time as Horror Mayhem.
What?
What's that? Sorry, Nim?
Oh, I'll probably do it in the middle of May. If I do it in the beginning, I'll forget everything.
My wife went off and bought a brand new copy for 450 Rand. Now that is, I normally go on a book, when I do my book hauls, you're looking at about 200 Rand, 250 Rand. So my one copy of Holly costs about as much as 20 books at a little used bookstore.
Oh
so I was a little bit shocked and horrified, but still, I hope it's a good book. I hope it's worth it.
So does that mean, I mean, I don't know the equivalent. Is it like, I don't know if it's going to mean anything to you, but is it like a pound a book in your used books? Is it like £1 or £2 a book?
I know dollars. I think we 1 to 20. So a $2 book is like 40 Rand.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So 400 Rand, something like $80 or something. I don't know.
80. Yeah, I can't work it out. But it sounds like it might be about 20 quid to me. I don't know. That's what hardbacks are over here, about between £16 and £20. I managed to get Holly second hand from eBay for about 7 quid, I think it was.
That's not bad.
Yeah. What is the exchange rate between America and UK? What is a pound to a dollar?
1 now.
I don't really know.
I know.
I need to find out, don't I? Because I'm going to America soon.
Alexa,
Ask me.
how much is £1 English pound worth in US dollars?
Shout to my wife to work it out for me as well.
Pound is worth about $1.25 in the US.
You're very close then.
I remember when it was like £2 to the dollar or something like that.
The only difference in America, if I buy something in America, I've got to remember that what the price on the book is not what you actually pay at the counter, is it?
No. Well, it depends on where you buy.
Right.
Washington State, no, Oregon does not have sales tax. So if you go to Oregon, where Alan lives, you would not. It'd be the price on the book. Now in Washington State, you'd be paying about 10% extra.
That's a lot, isn't it?
It could be, yeah, 10%. Now in Virginia, you're going to pay about 6%. And then what sales tax in Colorado?
Oh, geez. It depends what county you're in. It's not even by state. It's by county. Yeah, state and county. I'm at, like, Colorado's expensive. It's like 10%.
The same as like Washington is about 10%.
Yeah.
We don't have VAT on our books at all. There's no tax on our books.
Yeah, we're pricey.
It's cool, isn't it?
We didn't used to be. We used to be a freaking cowboy town. Now, we're a trendy place to be. My mom's like, I remember when this all used to be dirt road when I was a teenager. I'm like, oh my goodness.
My wife grew up outside Colorado Springs.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, her father was in the military, so he got transferred between Germany and Colorado Springs back and forth. So when we visited Colorado, she tracked down her childhood home just to drive by them.
Oh, nice.
Colorado Springs, some other town nearby. I can't remember, but
Yeah, the cabin that my mom's mom was born in is still up. And it's like a one-room shack. I'm just like, wow. On a prairie.
I've got a mental image of Colorado being loads of big open spaces. Is that right?
You have a voice of authority.
There are, but I'm in the city.
$22. $22. That can't be right. I'm sure it's more than that.
I think that's right. I mean, I mean, basically, that's about what you pay in the U.S.
That sounds
that's not a lot more than what it costs over here either.
When you were saying 80, I was saying no. That didn't sound.
Yeah.
Okay, but most of the books that I get on my hall from the little bookshop that I've shop at, you're talking $1-2. You're talking about 25 Rand, 40 Rand.
Yeah, so it's like
well, you have to remember, Cliff. If I go to like my thrift store, one of the thrift stores paperback books, hold on, like one of these, not this one, but are 50 cents. So I can get a buttload for 50 cents. And you will not find a book of this quality in that thrift store. Yeah. But the other ones, like these George Simenon, I can't reach them here. Like these at a regular used bookstore are $5. And then I happen to get at a library sale 2 for $5. So that kind of price range.
Yeah. Well, I've got some of these tiny little books like this one. This is 25 Rand. Tarzan and the Ant-Man. This 25 Rand.
Hold on. That's a nice cover.
That is a nice cover, eh?
So 25 Rand or 20?
25 Rand. Let me see. You can show.
Is that just Tarzan swimming at the beach? What is that? Is that cover? It's just down the beach.
Did you say he's where? At the beach?
Down the beach. Yeah. Just down the swim.
No, he's with the Ant-Man. They're very, very small men, and he's very big, and he helps fight.
I had a couple of really talking about prices and the whole idea of spending as little as possible on a cool book. I've had a couple of successes on eBay recently for Horror Mayhem, and I've just received this today. Right, Book of Horrors.
Ooh.
Yeah, really, really good condition. It's pretty much new condition, but on eBay, it said it was very good. I always go with very good because it's usually all right, but it's literally like brand new. There's a hardback, and it's some really cool people on it. So it's a cool collection. And that was £3.
Wow.
£3.
3 pence.
So new, that would have been 20 quid new.
£3.
£3.
That's really cool.
So good, isn't it?
Really cool.
Well,
literally, like you can see, it's like really good condition.
You know something? Let me see if I can have it here. I've learned, at least from thrift books, when they say like new, never buy the like new books. They're never like new. They're always actually in worse shape than most. Okay. I ordered a like new hardcover of this book from Thrift Books. All right.
Okay.
And what I got is this.
It's paperback for a start.
It's paperback, but it's a Book of the Month Club paperback. And the only thing I found out is that that the Book of the Month paperback has the same ISBN number as the hardcover. So if you're not paying attention, you type in the ISBN number, it will say hardcover. And the guy's like, oh, like new. Well, even look, you can't say this is like new. This is like good to very good condition. Maybe I'd go good. I wouldn't go very good, but that's my tack on like thrift book is don't buy like new because they're never.
I've gotten some real duds from thrift books. Like I've gotten some great things from thrift books, but I've gotten some awful things from thrift books too.
I have gotten some wonderful things that are in good condition.
Yeah, me too. But then I've gotten some stuff that I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, Bad as Rad she ordered, I don't know if it was from thrift books or from Amazon. She ordered a book that she wanted, and it was like really bad condition.
Their stickers too, like, are so hard. Like I've had so many spines ruined from trying to
I
get
know
the stickers. I don't even want to talk about it. It's traumatic.
You're really excited. I'm going to get a like new hardcover. That'd be excellent. Wait a second. This and the problem is it was like $5. So you're like, okay, am I really going to throw up a hue and storm over $5? And I mean, from what I'm told, thrift books will give you back your $5 if you complain. But how many times are you going to complain and say, we're not dealing with you any? I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, what else do we have to say about If It Bleeds? Or are we sort of basically talking about what we can talk about in the book?
Well, I love the ending. I thought the ending with Jerome and his sister, just to have them there, that tension point, to be there at the same time. I thought it was a brilliant ending. Very suspenseful.
Yeah. The structure was really good, wasn't it?
It was. The one thing about Holly is when like, Holly, you can't do this on your own. I mean,
yeah.
Don't be you're doing the horror movie thing. Where you're
final girl, stop being a final girl.
Yeah.
Where you're doing everything wrong.
But she's sort of obsessed, compulsive.
I like the fact that Barbara got involved as well at the end. Like that was really tense when she was getting hurt as well.
Right.
That whole the way that there's a few characters that were involved in that confrontation at the end that made it so tense. And I was quite shocked at what he did with Barbara. So yeah, that was really
cool. I felt bad for her during that situation.
Yeah.
Like I would have shit my pants too. Oh, sorry. Pooped my pants.
Yeah, spoilers.
Well, we always go into this. The headline says spoilers somewhere in there. I think so. So, you know.
Yeah.
It's about whether you shit your pants reading it, isn't it? I suppose.
No, there are other books that made me almost shit my pants, not this one.
Yeah. On a scale of poop your pants.
I just want to go back to what you said about Holly actually making bad decisions, go on her own. You know, she's doing the final girl thing. And if you think about her personality, I mean, she's sort of obsessive, compulsive, and she's fragile, but she also doesn't want other people to be hurt. That's something that we see that about her. That's a strength of hers as well as a weakness. So she made a bad decision there, not to get anyone else involved, but that's who she is as a person. She's kind of sweet and friendly, but she also doesn't. She has friends. She doesn't want to see them get hurt. So she decides, what the hell, she's going to jump in and do the thing herself. So it's almost like a strength is a weakness kind of thing.
That she has a hard time reaching out and actually saying, you can help me do this. Where with Bill, it was like he was the leader who pulled her in and say, you're going to be doing this.
Yeah.
Part of the story arc is that he's gone, so she has become more forthright and proactive because he's not around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's constantly thinking, how would Bill do this? What would Bill do?
Yeah.
You know, keeping him in her memory and trying to live up to Bill.
Yeah. He's left a real legacy, which is what Holly does. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of curious because if you bring Bill in, Bill was very reluctant to bring the police in Mr. Mercedes until he says, okay, I can no longer plausibly say I'm just doing this investigation on my own. Got to bring him in.
Yeah.
And then everyone ignored him.
Definitely a balance. You got to find a balance of letting people help you.
So that's going to be a curious thing that going into the final book of Holly to say, is she going to be making the same kind of decisions, the bad decisions, going on her own? Or is she going to bring in, I presume Jerome is going to be there.
I'm hoping that they go back to her childhood a little bit, at least. It's a novel. Give you some of her background.
Well, it's a 500-page book.
A little bit of when she's a girl, what happens to her. I want to know what her background is.
What made her Holly?
What makes her what she is. And then maybe fast forward to something. But
that would be interesting to get some flashbacks.
Yeah. That would be good.
That would be cool.
Because after this particular one, you learn more about her background with her mom. And I want more of that. I want to know what's made Holly who she is.
Okay. Yeah. And what kind of stressor? I mean, I'm trying to just predict. As I said, Jerome's going to be there. I presume Barbara. Her mother's going to have to play some sort of role in this book, in the last book.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
And I wonder if I wonder if her mother's going to bite the bullet.
Maybe.
Something's going to go after her mother.
I mean, somebody dies in every book, don't they?
Somebody always dies.
Someone always.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Barbara in that one. Got pretty hectic for Barbara, isn't it?
I don't think Barbara. My guess, if someone's going to buy it, it's going to be the mother.
Or Jerome.
No, Jerome. Jerome would be a hard one to kill off.
It'd be sad because obviously he's quite like a young, sort of vulnerable man and that. But yeah, that would be certainly quite impactful if he decides to do that.
Like, no, Jerome.
Also, what I like about this last book is that he's not making Jerome sound like it was so cringy in some of the books in Mr. Mercedes when Jerome starts talking in that other voice.
Right, the cliche. Now, there was one channel who really said, I can't like this book because it's just.
Yeah, it's Troy. It's Troy Trellup. He said that literally stopped him reading Stephen King.
The problem is, at least for Jerome knows what he's doing. He's doing that to play the part that people expect him to play. Yeah. And
I like Jerome.
And I can see that. I mean, I could possibly see a kid his age acting the part.
Yeah. It's just cringe, that's all. I'm glad he doesn't do it in this book. I like it.
Yeah, it seems to have pulled back on that sort of thing. I think it's only really the first book, I think.
I think it's only the first book that he really does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, what am I reading here? What is King doing?
I like Jerome.
Yeah, I mean, he's
a good guy.
King was getting away with stuff that a lesser writer or newer writer would not be able to get away with.
I tell you what, Greg, I hate it when any writer writes in an accent, writes an accent. Harlan Ellison does it sometimes as well, and it just does my head in.
Yeah, you know what? I've been doing it on the audio, so it's probably easier. But you guys have been physically reading, so
yeah. When I try
to physically read an accent, I can't even read it. I'm just like, what is it?
It depends how thick it is.
What is this word? What?
Imagine me trying to read A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, that's you kind of get used to it by the end of the book, but it is weird when you first start reading that.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange is a deliberate use of
slang.
sound.
And made up slang.
Doesn't he create entirely different swear words?
Yeah. It's a. I did a video on that book. I read it as one of the. I think it was the second book I did for the band project, and I looked quite into who he was and what it was like and why he did it. And it's a cross between Cockney and Russian,
right?
The slang he used. But yeah, he's a real. He's really into language. He knew about 6 different languages like Japanese, Russian, all sorts of different languages, and he taught English in another country as well. So Anthony Burgess was really into languages.
He was. He also invented the language for the movie Quest for Fire.
Oh, okay.
Because as you remember in that movie, they're speaking some sort of guttural language that never existed. And I think they just need like subtitles, and he invented that language for them to speak.
I would never be able to do that.
What, invent a language or read it or
invent a language or learn it? I'm like trying to do online dating, and I'm like, I like Lord of the Rings, and people are like, can you speak Elvish? I'm like, no.
Yeah, your next question is, why would I? What you want about?
Like, I'm sorry. I mean,
I guess you're not a true enough fan if you don't learn the invented language.
I've read the Silmarillion, but no.
I remember when I was back mid-90s, I guess it was mid-90s, I was working at a bookstore. Someone published a Klingon edition of Hamlet.
Klingon. Yeah, that's the other big one. Klingon.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, okay, you're learning an invented TV show language. I'm sorry. Okay. Why not learn a real language and be a real girl? Of course, maybe there are girls who learned Klingon back then.
Klingon is a Star Trek thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, and now there's what's the one from Game of Thrones?
Oh, is it the Jason Momoa language? Dothraki, yeah. Does it? I haven't read the Game of Thrones books. Is there a lot of Dothraki in the books? Is there a lot of Dothraki language in it?
I don't remember. I think there was only a little bit. Like, if my memory serves, it's been over 10 years since I've read that book.
Oh,
but
is it really?
I remember seeing another book like read Dothraki, learn Dothraki at Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, no thanks.
Duolingo had it as a language course they were offering.
I couldn't even learn French in high school. Like, leave me off of the Dothraki.
But at least I guess it's just for fans who just get totally absorbed that they when I.
Well, I guess it's the ultimate escapism, isn't it? Not just reading the book, but then just like escaping into the language as well.
I guess so.
But yeah, if it bleeds, it was in English, which was nice.
I'm a little bit lost. Dothraki, what is that?
Dothraki is one of the languages in Game of Thrones series, A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah. I've seen the series. I just didn't think of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to learn some Dothraki and some Elvish and.
Don't forget the Klingon.
What's kind of curious is that did the author really understand foreign languages when they were creating their part? I remember, has anyone ever read the Sword of Truth series?
Yeah, Shannara.
No. By Terry Goodkind.
Terry Brooks.
I have not, but my dad is on like the 7th one right now, and he is obsessed with it.
But what's curious is that in those novels, the main character is learning some ancient language. It would be like us learning Latin or Greek or something like that. And he has some of it written in the text. But it's kind of curious is that in the like when he writes it down, the old text, let's say it had 8 words in a sentence, right? He comes in and translated it in English, and the English has 8 words. And I went, okay, you don't really understand how foreign languages work, do you?
Yeah. That's not that. Yeah, the syntax is different. The sentence structure is different. Yeah.
It's like you could have one word in that ancient language be 5 words in English, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You just syllables and say, "Oh, that's a foreign language."
And that's Terry Goodkind, is it? I've never read into Terry Goodkind.
It's a Terry Goodkind. Yeah. I've read that.
Terry Goodkind, honestly.
Terry Goodkind was kind of a weird guy to begin with.
He said he didn't write fantasy, but he has like an epic fantasy series.
He does.
Who was the fantasy author that got himself into big trouble with his wife? I think he was jailed. Was it Eddings or David Eddings or someone?
David Eddings.
I think he got himself in big trouble.
Okay, different guy.
I think.
Yeah.
David Eddings liked people under the age of 18.
Yeah. And his wife got involved as well.
Also, I've heard that was true about Marion Zimmer Bradley as well.
I heard that about Marion. That was her husband.
Her husband, but she would take kids to her husband.
Right. What was her husband's name again? Because he was quite famous, wasn't he?
I don't know what her husband's name was, but she would take kids to her husband. I was like, ugh, when I found that out.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Well, I think we are at the end of if it.
How did we get to this?
So I'm definitely looking forward to Holly. As I said, I'm gonna. I got to try to squeeze it in the first or second week of Horror Mayhem. Make sure that I get that in on time. And,
I was going to say that I'm a little bit worried because it's the same month as Horror Mayhem. I was going to try and read a different short story every night, or at least kind of try and tick as many boxes as possible. And Holly would probably take me about 2 weeks. So
there's a couple of things you could tick off with Holly, I think.
Okay.
You could definitely tick that off.
We don't know that for sure, but
it seems like Cliff's got a problem with his arm. I'm not sure. You need to look into that, mate.
It's called self-cannibalism.
His wife needs to feed him better.
A nervous tick.
See, Gareth, what I plan to do is, I'm also doing Les Miserables, which will be done second week, but I plan to read a short story and then read a book after I read the short story. So read 20 pages of a short, then go on to whatever book that I'm going to be reading. And Holly's just going to be one of them.
Yeah. It's just like I've read, I think, 4 books this month. So, I just haven't got the time to read shitloads of books, So I'll do my best. But I was a bit worried about The Outsider, but I managed to do it in time. But I was worried even before we started the thing. I thought, that's quite a big one. Will I be able to read that in time with everyone else? So I'll just do what I can.
Well, it's the grand finale. Maybe we can put it off if stuff happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I haven't read as much as I usually do this month. I think I need to. I'm going to rush off and brush up on my top Rocky.
Yeah, Cliff's learning 3 completely invented languages.
Well, I'm going to go brush up on my top Rocky just now because I'm on episode 3. I'm rewatching the Game of Thrones.
Oh, you're actually doing that? You're rewatching it?
I'm rewatching it. I'm loving it.
It's great. It's a great series, I think.
Till the end.
I would rather learn how to ride like they do than how they speak. They're pretty good at riding horses.
Don't watch the last season.
No, I didn't mind the last season.
No, I've seen the last season. I've watched the entire season. I'm starting again.
You see,
Well,
don't watch the last season. It's not worth
the internet doesn't like the last season, but everyone I know really likes it.
What?
I didn't mind the last season. I didn't think it was the best way to finish, but it wasn't terrible.
I read the first
I think
3
it's,
books. They were new. I remember when Game of Thrones came out in paperback, and there were no other books in the series. I picked it up and read it, really liked it, and then read the second book. And then there was a big break for the third book, and I read the third book. And then he went on this huge, like 10-year, was it 10 years or 12 years between the third and fourth book? Something like, and by that time I just.
The last one hasn't come out since 2011.
Yeah, there's a big gap now.
Little
I
bit
read
like
them like 2015, and I'm like,
My brain doesn't remember that much.
it was a little
I'll
bit
tell
like
you what, I think the reason why, I'm not an expert, but I think the reason why he's delaying it and he's been put off it is because what those people did in the last season was what he wanted them to do, and everyone's moaned about it, or at least the internet's moaned about it. So he's thinking, I'm not going to write it because that was my idea, and everyone thought it was crap. So,
I kind of think that too, actually.
yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna think of a better ending.
Wow.
And I was just irritated with the guy, the king, the guy that ended up on the blooming throne. He irritated me the whole way through. He was a little annoying brat.
Which king? The kid.
No, yeah,
Bran.
The boy. Yeah, I thought he was just the weakest little. I didn't like him.
Oh, Joffrey? Is that who you're talking about?
No.
He just doesn't like cripples. Look, he's being really a disableist there.
Oh, that kid. Why is he king? I don't get it. It doesn't
Why?
make sense.
Why make someone like him is so weak and just
Because he's like the all-knowing guy. He's the little guy that can do that weird thing with his eyes and see the future.
I
That's
didn't
why he's
get
a
why
king.
he was king. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
what?
Because it's all mystical, isn't it? It's like,
Why do you think I came here? Well, why did
powers.
you take like all this time getting here?
So Bad is Rad is in the comments. Beat 3 times, Cliff, if you want to learn that language.
Which Dothraki or Elvish?
beat 3 times.
Beat 3 times. You will want to learn that language. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by beat.
I don't know either. All right.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I love, and have the hots for Tyrion, the guy who's the advisor to the Dragon Queen.
She has the hots for Tyrion.
He'll love that.
He might be a small guy, but he's kind of popular with the ladies. Eh?
He is.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the best characters.
He's a brilliant actor. I love Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, everyone.
We've been here for an hour. It's next month. It's Holly. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Right. Oh, yeah. Got a few more comments.
It's not rock.
It's not.
It's what you do with it.
All right. Well, we're gonna leave it at that, everyone. Have a good afternoon or evening wherever you are. Until next month. Keep on reading.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.